McGuire review, and today we're going to be taking a look at an exclusive from Target. It's called the Oregon Trail. Now, some of you old school gamers, like myself, may recognize this game from the original classic computer game that they had for this. And there's actually another company, I'm not sure offhand, but there's another company that did a board game of the Oregon Trail as well. But I've never seen the Oregon Trail, the card game. So I was at Target the other day, doing a toy hunt run, and I saw this game. And when I flipped it over, it says only at Target. So I'm assuming this game in entirety is only exclusive to Target retail stores. And it's not something that's available, and maybe just Target's put their spin on it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it does indicate that it's only at Target. So, when I saw that, and I thought, man, I could remember being a kid and playing the Oregon Trail on my Commodore, like on my computer, and this game was so hard. I mean, it literally is incredibly difficult to actually beat this game on the computer. And they have perfectly brought that into this card game, because the card game is actually very difficult as well. So let's just do a quick run over the components here, and I'll give you a high-level gameplay, because the gameplay is very straightforward, very simple. So they do include a nice rule book here. It's kind of a standard. It's almost like a pamphlet rule book, so it kind of folds out, and it's full color. It's got all the information that you need on it. It's got a few nuances of the rules built in. I think they did a good job with the rule book. I mean, the rule book the game is very straightforward. It's very simple, so there's not really much more that's necessary on top of this. One thing that I thought was really cool is they included this. This is actually. That was out of control. They included this board, which actually is a whiteboard. So you can, when you play the game, it's actually up to 6 players you can play this game with. You can write each player's name on this board, and then every time you can kind of erase it, and every game that you play. And on the back, it's cool. It's got all the tombstones. So this is a cooperative game. You'll be playing this game with your gaming group. And everybody's goal is basically to get from the beginning to the end of this trail. And as people die along the way, you'll erase them from the front. You'll write their name on a tombstone on the back, and you can do that in order if you'd like to see kind of who died first versus last. And really, only one of you need to make it all the way to the end. But if the entire party dies at any point in time during the game, then the game is over. And I'll tell you, most of the time, that's what happens. Again, this is not an easy game to beat, and that's one thing that I really like about it is very difficult, and you really have to work together to be able to successfully beat this game. So I thought that was a nice component that they put in. You don't always see that kind of stuff as components, especially at a lower price point. I think I got this for $12.99. So for a low price point game, having something like this, it's nice. There is one die that is included that has 6 sides, obviously. And this is going to be used to roll depending on what you'll get from your calamity cards or your trail cards as you go through the game, and that'll be indicated right on the card. Up front here, you'll see there
are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
different supply types. And at the beginning of the game, you're actually going to get 5 of these. For a 2 to 4 player game, if it's a 5 or 6, you'll get more. But for a 2 to 4 player game, you'll get 5 of these cards. They'll all be shuffled together, so you won't be sure, you won't know what you actually get or what anybody else has. And you will keep those face down. You will get 5 trail cards. And these are interesting. I'll show you a few of these, and I'll have pictures here at the end, but every card looks very different. And it's really the terrain of that trail. So you might have a curved path road here, and this one says, press space bar to continue. Draw a calamity card now. So these cards will actually, as you play them, and upon it's your turn, you will play one from your hand of 5. As you play those, some of them are just blank cards, and you won't have to do anything. Some of them you actually will have to draw one of these calamity cards, which generally is not good for you. You're gonna have your wagons are gonna break down. You're gonna have extreme cold. You're gonna have something in the way of your path, like a big log that maybe has to be moved. And what's interesting is as these calamity cards go down in the game, they stay in play until that situation is remedied. Remedied? Remedied? I don't know. What's the proper word there? I don't know. Until that situation is actually taken care of, it will actually stay in play. So that makes it kind of fun. And I really like how on the cards it says press spacebar to continue, and I think some of them say press enter. I don't know. I haven't read through them all yet, but I find that to be pretty fun. Some of them have you have now arrived at a town, collect one supply card, or remove one calamity card from play. So that's kind of cool. That can help you out when that comes into play. Some of them are like a river that needs to be crossed, and this one says roll an even number to ford the river. Ford the river, okay? Roll a 1 and die by drowning. So you can see this game has many different things as you go through the gameplay where you could just do one action and boom, you are immediately dead. Now, it's not your whole entire party, but it might be you if it happens on that turn. And again, this is where the die kind of comes into play. There's a few different things on calamity cards as well as trail cards that will cause that die to be rolled to kind of determine what's going to happen within that game. So, on your turn, again, I explained a little earlier that at the beginning of the game, you're going to get 5 supply cards, 5 trail cards. When it's your turn, you can play supply or you can play trail cards, depending on what the situation is in front of you. If you do have a trail card in your hand, you do need to lay that down, one trail card. If you do not, you can actually take one of the trail cards from another player. And if you start your turn and you don't have any cards that are valid to play in your hand, that's when you would actually draw a card from the trail deck. So there will be a deck. The trail deck will stay there after you pass out all the trail cards in the beginning. It's not like that deck goes away from play. The deck stays in play, and you will only draw from that deck when you don't have any other cards in your hand that are valid to play. So that's where the leftover of the trail cards really come in to play with this game. Again, when you set it up, you're going to put out your start, your independence here, and you're going to put out your finish, which is your Willamette Valley, Oregon here, being the Oregon Trail. You're going to set those out, and as you build your trail when you're playing, you're going to build that trail right off like this. And you always have to kind of stack your cards. Like, you obviously can't do that. Like, you always have to stack your cards where the trail would make sense, and you kind of lay them out along the table. So, you can see how you're probably going to need quite a bit of playroom. They suggest 3 feet between the start and the end card. And what you do is every 5 cards, you pick up those 5 cards, having the last one in the row being on top, and you just stack those up, and you lay them right up against the start. So you'll go through quite a few cards. How does this work? And the last thing you might think is, okay, how do you win the game? So the reason why you stack these cards every 5 cards is because the game ends once you get to the 10th stack of 5 cards. So basically you're going to have, at the end, you're going to have 10 stacks of 5 cards each all the way out into the end. And once a player who's ever left in the game, right at that point, again, being extremely hard to have someone left at that point even in the game, but once someone makes that 10th move and then they're able to get to this card, boom. Now the group has reached Oregon Valley. They've reached the end. They've made it. It's triumph for the group, and you've won the game. Again, that being incredibly difficult, but that's why I like this game. I like card games. I don't know what it is. I'm not as big a fan of incredibly difficult board games. I love playing board games. That's really by far my thing. Dungeon Quest comes to mind, the first edition from Fantasy Flight. I love playing that game because it is intense. I mean, it is extremely difficult to even get out of that place with anything, much less be, everybody gets out and you're comparing your gold to see who wins. But with a game like this, it's a very low price point, it's very simple, and it's difficult. And that difficulty brings the group back. It brings this back to the table time and time again because everybody wants to beat the game, and it is very difficult to beat. So, overall, I think they did a really nice job with it. This is from Pressman. They did a good job with re-implementing the original computer game into this card game, which is very much different than the Oregon Trail board game that's out there today. So click that like below, hit that subscribe to join the review. This has been the McGuire Review, and I'll see you guys later.